People want to define Gen Z, but that's our job.
I wait tables, but last week I built a field hospital.
I put out a forest fire.
I stopped 1,000 attackers.
And a natural disaster.
I've saved lives.
And led a team on patrol.
I serve.
Well, I go to school full-time.
While I work full-time.
The greater the challenge, the stronger we become.
That time again, everybody. When we get to Sunday, have 2 teams left in the bracket and everything to play for. Championship Sunday Grand Finals time here for the Rally Cry Collegiate Series with Rocket League, presented by the Army National Guard. I am Galgan, alongside Relic. You know us well by now, hopefully, and some other people you know pretty well by now. Our 2 teams about to face off, even though one is technically a fresh face to the Rally Cry Collegiate Series as of this weekend. Boise State really needs very little introduction. UT Dallas, on the other side, you know, I think we have to start putting our due faith into this roster that they can provide the results necessary. Relic, what kind of test stands in front of them here in the grand final? They can only hope to find out.
Well, they're going up against a team that has not lost a single game this entire tournament. 4-0 and 4-0. It really is as simple as that. But UT Dallas have been repeating the same scoreline as well. 4-1, 4-1, 4-1. Forget game number 7. It's all about game number 5. So that informs my conclusion quite succinctly, Galgan. If they don't win in 5 games, then UT Dallas will lose the series. It's written in the stars. That's just how life works sometimes.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you. I feel like the law of repeating the same length of series. I mean, there's also something to think about with the fact that Oklahoma Christian got through the entire bracket last weekend, only dropping 1 game. Granted, they played 1 additional series, but that is in the past. The past is in the past. The future is here and now, old man. It's Boise State and UT Dallas in the grand finals of this second weekend of play. The Lions' share of 160 points for playoff qualification on the line. We've said it a couple of times. If you get to this stage during at least one of the weekends, there's a pretty good chance that you automatically lock a playoff bid. But UT Dallas especially, I think this is a very crucial series for them because it will get them closer towards a top seed in the playoffs. Give them, hopefully, I mean, theoretically, a guaranteed 2 series wins in playoffs before they start facing what they would consider to be their true tests. So I don't know about you, but I feel like UT Dallas has a bit more pressure on them to perform in this grand final. But at the same time, they could also go, you know, we're playing against Boise State. We know who it is. Let's just see what happens.
This, to me, Galgan, is the series where we find out just how legit UT Dallas is. We can look at that Maryville result from last weekend and say, that's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? But Maryville still won, so order remains as it should be. But here today, if they take Boise State to Game 7, then I think we are looking at a genuine top 4 contender once we hit the playoff bracket. Long way until then, of course, given. But this would be a huge step in the right direction.
I'm just saying, don't tell the fans out there UT Dallas might be top 4. They will tell you that UT Dallas is at the very least top 1 in this field. And you know what? If they win a series like this, I might have to start believing them, honestly. I think it would be fantastic to get to Game 7. Then they can finally sub Zora in, as we've all talked about. And the legacy game comes in where Zora scores 30 and UT Dallas lose 31-30 somehow. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Game 1 of the grand final underway, and it's UT Dallas already trying to get a strong start. Boise State's defense will not go quietly into the night as they quickly transition out.
No, indeed, and this will be the sternest test of the entire bracket. Boise State play a very similar style of Rocket League that UT Dallas enjoy at the very least. And it really will be it's just going to be a diff. It's just going to be a diff. But it's the Des diff that gets things started. UT Dallas lead in Game 1.
I'm just sat here going, I just, you know, we're a minute into the series. I'm going to hold my reservations until we get further in. I'm just going to say, What are we doing there? We're all pushing up to the middle of the field. We think, like, we see it time and time again from top teams.
No way.
You trust your first player to get such a strong clear, and 99 times out of 100, they don't. But the one time that comes through, UT Dallas have the lead.
It was a mistake from Woozy. We do see it. UT Dallas capitalized on the mistake. It's what they've been doing so well throughout the entire bracket run, and indeed from what we were seeing last week, although I would go on record as saying quite confidently this is a big step up from last week. The team in general looks so much better, and Boise State have looked threatening on these counters. They look very good indeed, but quite frankly, UT Dallas have got them dancing around their fingertips. It's a second goal for Dez.
Everybody say it with me. 1, 2, 3. I just, some things you just try to explain in the moment, and it just, I understand the scramble defensively, and I need to stick with your point. Okay, we're okay. Held my breath there for a second. UT Dallas looks so much stronger this weekend. Not to discredit what they did last weekend, but, I've got to play both sides here and understand that this looks like an insane improvement over the span of 1 week in the very small microcosm that we have of these competitions. We know what they're capable of, but clearly something is different in the water. They are out for blood, and by all intents and purposes, they're grabbing it this weekend.
Oh, forget the nerves. They are looking like a team that is vibing to the music. And Luby's given the length and breadth of the field, dances over one. Preston intercepts the second touch. Dalton moves forward as Luby rotates out. Demo, quick turn for Luby. Infield, Durtho reads it like a book. Now for the transition downfield, rides up the wall, but there to meet it, Dalton and Dez. And once again, there's no threat.
It's Dez to cycle through, just trying to push Woozy out into an uncomfortable spot with no boost. Durtho tries to read early, crossbar down. Do I hear a third? I do not. Preston saves it right before the bell rings as Dez can't find the challenge. Now a second miss. Durtho happy to just take the first to the bar and read it all the way through. Confident the no touch was coming, and confident as ever Boise State grabbed their first.
Yeah, first moment where UT Dallas are really caught with their pants down, unfortunately, and Durtho in the 1v1 situation, looking super confident, really never in doubt, and especially given the style of goal that we saw him score yesterday, we know that this is a man who does not buckle under the pressure. 1-goal game, sub 2 minutes to go.
A nice pass down, however, forces Woozy to jump early. Good second touch from the back wall. Would have been dangerous if left unattended. Now a nice follow through from the sidewall, and both teams generating power shots off the transition is something you're going to see as the series continues to develop. You don't want to give those opportunities up. Dalton has to force that one into a back pass with Dez. Now Boise State look for a bit more of a clamp and remove the person in the way. Dalton gone, Preston scores, and we're tied.
Yeah, you can absolutely tell that Boise State were starting to move up through the gears, constantly rotating back in, sharp turn, sharp turn, sharp turn, and the UT Dallas defense simply couldn't deal with it. I was going to say literally just before they scored Gauguin, this is a case of survival now. UT Dallas have to get this one across the line, scratch that, they've got to score another goal now.
Bright lights can be intoxicating but blinding at the same time for a team that dares to chase them. And UT Dallas may have tried to jump on that momentum train a bit too early. Boise State attempting to bring them back down to earth as the initial shot goes wide above the crossbar. Now sent back on a back pass. Durtho collects. Nice touch to the back wall. Bang! It's a big save from Luby, but the follow-through from Preston is just as powerful, and the double has the angle, but not the direction. Magnitude is one part of the equation. Boise State bringing every bit of force with them, though, as Luby scrambles for a save.
How on earth did they make that save? It was impossible to read the complete redirect that shot took at the end of it all. 30 seconds left on the clock, and UT Dallas, quite frankly, either want that goal or they can't wait to see overtime. Either way, 0-0 on the clock is the goal in either case. Woozy now goes forward, looking more and more likely for Boise State. Look at Dalton Maroon there in the middle. Absolutely nothing to say further in this conversation. It's another one. Durtho ran a corner. It's the full turnaround. 3-2.
He's just sat there menacingly. He has a free parking space and nobody's coming to give him a ticket. What a tap home on the odd angle. Like anybody from UT Dallas had a chance to take it away, and they've mounted the comeback with 7 to play. Do UT Dallas have anything in the tank? Surely. The initial touch goes wide. Dez can't get it centered. Dalton one last tap. The shot is not fast enough. Challenged away, set by the wayside. Boise State, a mini comeback here to start the series off.
Vroom, vroom, vroom. Boise State hit top gear just in the nick of time. I really do think that was a proper 50-50 if they had hit overtime. I think that's the reset that UT Dallas desperately needed. Unfortunately, the clock did not favor them. It was lady time in favor of Boise State. It was Boise State in favor of Boise State, to be real with you. What a turnaround. And the form, you could just see the playbook being opened, and they were turning the page and going through so many different motions. For UT Dallas to have hung in there for as long as they did is in of itself an impressive feat. But just like Thanos, the result did seem inevitable.
Oh, see, that's the thing. I don't necessarily want to draw it up like that, but in my head, I go to the conclusion that it kind of feels like the older and younger sibling, potentially, messing around, having a bit of a scuffle, a bit of a fight. UT Dallas throws a little too hard as the proverbial younger sibling, and Boise State, okay. You know what? We've had our fun. It's time to end this. Now, it's only the first game of a best of 7, as I say far too often, but it rings true here because there are opportunities for UT Dallas to continue that kind of momentum. Obviously, you don't like to see this early flash of momentum sort of peter out, and as you say, their best chance, UT Dallas, is to hope for overtime, to try to push it to extra if they can, delay the inevitable Boise State offensive aggression, but they don't want to be in a position like that, and it's well within their own right to take themselves out of said position. Boise State, meanwhile, on the other hand, if they continue to try and dominate the resource game, really lock their positioning down, UT Dallas might have to continue to hope for overtime and try and scrap through these tying goals.
Yeah, Dallas really have to try and block off these passing lanes, and I think they might have to cut them off at the source. They need to try and find bumps, ideally demolitions, to really throw the rotation out of whack for Boise State, because their ability to bounce back is rather impressive. Very dangerous helter-skelter moment for Luby there, but the ball is sent straight back into dangerous territory. It's in the D, thrown away by Dez. Durtho, scorer of 2 goals, of course, in that first game, holds the ball up beautifully whilst his teammates go back for resources.
I think what makes the difference as well for Boise State, the reads on these clear attempts for UT Dallas, not necessarily jumping at what the ball is exactly, but where they think the ball is going to end up based off of the initial touch from a UT Dallas player. It's something that you can't necessarily teach players, but Boise State have it on lock. Those predictions, they don't always find the touches they need, but it's more so about generating pressure against UT Dallas and making them think twice about how to clear the ball away from the danger zone. That'll waterfall down, but Luby blocks it aside. Woozy now sends back to Durtho, who's back off the back wall. Preston sends it low, but unfortunately right in the center of the target for Dalton to take away.
We were very close to a "oh, shut up" moment, and it comes to Durtho again, mechanical magician, but he can't hit an open net, Galgan. That was the go-ahead goal moment. They're going to have to try and reload for another chance, and it's these follow-up actions that Boise State are absolutely bossing the opening 2 minutes with right now. UT Dallas have done very well to keep it at 0-0, but a 2v1 situation is again squandered.
Finally get this chance though, midfield line, Luby with a decent hold against the resources committed by Boise State to get that clear. So now Dez will have a bit of space to work forward. Luby, nice touch from out and then back in across the midfield line. Dalton goes to the back wall, keeping it high and inaccessible for Boise State. Now water falls down, but Durtho clears before the shot comes through. Dez went on the off angle, was not successful. This is a slow pop headed towards target, but Dez deals with it. Everybody in the air somewhat for UT Dallas and struggling to get back into position. That leaves it prime and ready for Woozy to tap home.
They were all stranded on the backboard, and Dalton, that's an awful place to have to defend the net from, coming in from not even the side, but from the corner. That's 2 lips of the goal mouth that you can stumble over. Was it coming? Of course it was. Boise State should have been 1-0 up maybe a minute or so ago, but UT Dallas were kind of the architects of their own downfall, and they should be now 1-1, but again, it's woodwork that denies one from going in.
It's a shot opportunity that you look back at with regret, but you have to wipe the memory clean immediately and move on to the next chance. For UT Dallas, they're doing just that. Big clear into the corner. Dalton chasing to try and steal some boost away and grabs a decent amount of pads. Dez gonna go for the shot anyway, and it's a huge block off of Woozy's attempted save. Bertha with a clear attempt, but UT Dallas look to establish themselves here as Dalton fades away on that one. Dez has a lane open because of the demo, but goes well across the net and rings the opposite side.
Very unfortunate, but again, unfortunate needs to turn into goals either which way. When your luck's against you, you simply have to grind out the result, and you got 90 seconds to do that, UT Dallas. That's 2 goals, by the way, not just the one that they need to take it to OT. Dalton goes central, the handoff to Louis, all on his own, but again, Preston stands tall. It's a follow-up challenge back on target. Woozy at the near post, back in centrally, and Woozy, once again, so much alertness and vigilance about him. The transition to Dirt, though, backboard, double tap, no, it's thrown away by Louis.
All of these chances come so close, but close won't cut it for UT Dallas. They've got to have that decisive it factor. Preston wants to take this one away, past one and a challenge with the second, but Dalton wins it convincingly, sends it to the corner, follow through from Dez. Anybody send it a tap home? It's Dalton who's lurking there, and Luby, slow to the play, now comes in from that anchor position. Bertha with a beautiful touch there, the redirect off the back corner all the way to the end of UT Dallas. They've got 40 seconds, time is ticking.
Love that from Preston, taking the high ground. Durtho a little late to this one, however, can only get a piece of the ball. Really smart from Luby, keeps it low to the ground. The attempted bump, Preston says absolutely not. Here's Dez, moves to Luby, goes, he's hoping that Dalton was going to be able to finish that move off, a little too smart for the play. But here's Dez again, goes far post, and Preston stands strong, stands tall yet again. Dalton misses out on this one, and Durtho completes the transition into the far corner.
Still a great sequence, and they've got one more shake at it. Luby, no boost, has to stretch every bit of that Fennec towards the ball. Preston trying to kill as much time off the clock from the back wall, and does so successfully. It's Boise State. You could say they squeaked out another one, but again, it's a 2-0 series lead. Close is not going to cut it for UT Dallas here. They need to have some level of decisiveness when it comes to these opportunities, because they've had their chances. They certainly have. But painting the woodwork is not going to get you anywhere against Boise State.
Boise State is one step ahead of them at the moment, not as far as 2. I do think it is genuinely this close, and I don't think that even had Boise State scored all those chances, I think UT Dallas crafted enough chances themselves to justify that ultimate 1-goal differential between the two teams. But you hit the nail on the head. They don't have enough control over the micromanagement of the game, really, to justify ever being ahead. Equals, maybe, but this is that final step that we alluded to pre-series. Can UT Dallas make that comeuppance into the elite level, or are they going to have to settle for being just a very, very good Rocket League team? I will put it out there, though. If they do get swept here, Galgan, that will be unfair on them. They do deserve at least 1 game out of this series.
I have to agree with you. They've done enough, it feels like, to convince us that they are here to stay at the top of the table, regardless of the result, because we knew coming into this event, even before the first weekend started, Boise State is not a roster to mess around with. They have a clear objective, and it is to win this entire competition. We're not trying to sit here and say that UT Dallas have no way of winning this. It's clear that they've displayed the qualities worthy of taking series off of anyone else in the competition. But on any particular day, you weigh the chances of a team beating another, and there's always a slight favor for Boise State in this matchup. They continue now, despite the fact that UT Dallas keeps it close. Boise State always find a way. That bottom corner, that's a rough bounce right there.
That's a bad kickoff, sadly, Galgan. UT Dallas very much gave themselves immediately something that they got to fight back from the worst possible start to game number 3. And given they were held to donuts in game number 2, it's difficult to see where the comeback is going to come from. In fact, Des the only goal scorer for the team, and that almost putting pain and salt into the wounds, almost a 2-0 as Preston pops it up. Dalton sees through the facade, Durtho goes midfield, and maybe UT Dallas can build something from here.
It's somewhat interesting, though. I mean, you know, there are people out there that simplify the game of Rocket League so much to the point where, you know, hit ball in net, score goal, win game. We've been over this. But, you know, consider the semifinal that we just watched, where it was UT Dallas really dictating the pace of play and forcing their opponents in Southern Miss Coca-Cola to stretch for every bit of possession. I'd argue we have a bit of the flip side here. Boise State looked very comfortable and composed in what they're doing, and UT Dallas, not necessarily because they want to, but because they have to, play a bit more on the reactionary side, where it's find whatever touch you can take and hope that a follow-through makes enough sense for a goal-scoring chance. Well, they had one just about 30 seconds ago that looked very solid, if not for a fantastic save at the crossbar. But other than that, it's been slim pickings.
Sure, funnily enough, actually, I don't think Dallas are looking like a team that's nervous at all. I think that even though they are forced into the reactive role of this proverbial play, I don't think that they're playing badly at all. In fact, they're reacting quite well to what Boise State's putting in front of them. It's that final piece of the jigsaw. It's like they've been given a script, but they've not been given the final line to earn that applause at the end of the play.
Ending a tournament on a cliffhanger would be a very interesting marketing decision. We'll have to try that next weekend and just let people guess what the outcome of the final game is. That, I mean, we'd have to anticipate what the final game is if it's not game 7, but hey, if it's UT Dallas, I don't know, that's one step closer to getting to that destination.
Somebody read spoilers, didn't they? Wow, what a read. What a read. Admittedly, a slice of fortune. You are relying entirely on physics from that 50 to give you the goal. But it is a goal nonetheless. It's a tie game here for UT Dallas. And a game where they're desperately trying to deny Boise State that match point scenario.
I think they'll take it, though, especially considering the one Boise State goal in this game was a squandered kickoff at the very beginning. It's a mental reset for UT Dallas. You know, you go back to that tied game state, it's almost more so 0-0 than it is 1-1 at this stage, but both teams looking for that it factor that UT Dallas really want to possess. Luby wanted that one through, but it's done enough. Dalton just picks up the own touch and scores.
Well, from Des being the only scorer to everybody getting on the scoreboard. And actually, it's that complete flummox of a touch that gives Dalton the opening that he was desperately looking for. A bit too much respect from the Boise State defense. But sometimes you can turn those lemons into lemonade, Galgan, and UT Dallas have a well-earned lead.
A solid start for them, just over halfway through game 3, but here comes Preston. The bump is in effect from Woozy. What an angle on that challenge. Durtho's still relevant, but sends it to a waterfall rather than straight off the back wall. Looked like he wanted a double setup. Woozy attempting something, double commit up on the near post, at least gets the clear for UT Dallas, and a bit more space as Durtho has to stretch out with boost used up in the tank. Woozy jumps early. Good initial block from UT Dallas. Proactive defense necessary, but it still squeaks through to the back wall.
Are you seeing a couple of double commits here and there from Boise State? Now that they're behind, starting to question their own confidence in this game, in this series. I mean, they do have time and games to play with, of course, but you don't want to give this UT Dallas roster a sniff. You certainly don't want to be UT Dallas giving Boise State a free net to shoot out either. Well recovered, although given away quite cheaply. Preston 1v1 with Luby, and that's a lovely save from the man who scored the most goals for his team in this tournament.
Certainly a great performance. You had Dalton with the catch and collect, had a bit of space. The team pinch as well to clear that ball all the way through. Woozy gives this one right on back, and it's a bump with the shot. Tough angle to pull it through, but didn't catch it with the right part of the car, and that'll allow Boise State to try and break back out as Durtho redirects from the midfield line. Ball goes begging. Durtho first one to it, and beats it out, and it's a clear goal line for Durtho to tie things up.
Mistake after mistake after mistake, and eventually it's Woozy who sees that opportunity, just goes straight for the keeper like a torpedo. And Durtho, if he had missed, that would have been missing the tournament by a country mile. 2-2.
We're 2-2, late in a game. Tell me where I've seen this story before. Boise State looking for some last-second magic again. Took them up until the 7-second mark to make that game one of this series secure. But could it be flipped on its head? Luby says, thank you very much. Don't give me that kind of space. I'll throw it right back in your face.
Well, excuse me, are we allowed to show this on daytime television? I'm not entirely convinced. That is a disgusting first touch from Luby. The turn and then the drive into the net as well. Boise State has not understood what has happened even post-fact, but now comes the most important phase of this game for UT Dallas. They got 30 seconds and change. Keep the goal out the net.
Oh, a touch there from Durtho, attempting to try and set up Preston, but it was a bit too far, disconnected from the sequence. Preston now off the back wall, will jump back to the ground, peek to the skies once again. Durtho's there, dodges the demo. Woozy has to be the one to take the initial shot and just sends it to the sidewall. Durtho puts back one more time, but Dez stalling out here, taking the ball up into the skies, and another touch clear. Odd angle, does not score, gives Durtho one last look, but blocked away. There's one last save, 0 seconds. Durtho forward for Preston. Nobody can immediately challenge, so it has to be a pass down to Woozy, who sends it near frame. It's just wide. Luby takes it aside. So the sidewall, but that's not the touch you wanted. Still kept alive, however, and Woozy will have one more shake. No boost in the tank. Has to go up against Luby and wins the challenge, but Dez puts it down. Much scrappier at 0 seconds than UT Dallas may have wanted, but a game win is a game win.
And you know, the most positive thing for me from a UT Dallas perspective is that was their scrappiest performance of their entire series so far. So many mistakes, and yet they still pull out the win. Now, if they can get that offensive nuance into game number 4, if they can ease out those mistakes as well, massage them out of the play in general, so that the risk reward is more from what we saw in their series up against Southern Miss Coca-Cola, we have got a grand final on our hands. For Boise State, questions to be asked, because that was also the scrappiest performance of the series so far.
That's the only thing that I'm somewhat hesitant on, though, is can we really bank on Boise State to make mistakes on their own like we saw in Game 3 at some points? Because I'm right there with you. You can't really have that level of assurance just yet if you're a player on UT Dallas. You have to be the ones being proactive, forcing those mistakes out on your own. You can't just say, oh, you know, anybody here from Boise State has the ball. Let's just let them do what they're doing, and then maybe they'll double commit. And by the time you already said that, you've already conceded. So I'm right there with you in the sense that UT Dallas needs to be the one to force out these mistakes, but that also kind of feels easier said than done. They've done it here in the third game of the series, but it's a task that has several answers that may or may not be correct depending on so many mitigating factors.
It's multiple choice psychology dissertation university. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, big save. Almost a repeat situation for Boise State in game number 4 here from game number 3. But at least for UT Dallas's sake, Luby was on and vigilant enough to make the save. It's still a dangerous phase here as Preston throws back into the center, but there's Luby with a release valve.
Finally see their way out. Can they make a quick transition run of it? It's Dalton at the side wall. Decent stance here. Everybody in line, in rotation. Good block from Luby. As whiffs on the ball, however, you could see the vision trying for a center pass. Jumps up early and uses all the rest of the boost in those buckboard wheels to get some extra height. Still don't really fully understand those, but if it works, I am not going to criticize it.
It'll be the squeakiest clean plays, but those wheels certainly are squeaky, and they're screeching as they run all over the pitch, trying to disrupt the plays that Boise State attempting to weave here like a tapestry right now in front of net as Boise State push for that first yet again. Big save off to the side as Preston backs up the play, backboard, and that's a lovely interception from Luby. Reads the play beautifully. Durtho goes sideways into no man's land, really. Dalton's up, takes it to the sidewall. Preston now looks at the block here, loses out on the challenge, dangerously lurking towards the net, but ultimately, wistfully goes wide almost. It wants to find the back of the net, this ball, and eventually it will, maybe not. No, Woozy goes fast. No, he doesn't, goes for the steal of the near post and succeeds.
Great read from Woozy here, though, on the sequence. Saw that Dalton and Luby were caught up in each other, and Luby had no choice but to commit early, try and get the save away, just slow roll it ever so slightly. But that patience pays off in dividends for Boise State. They've got their first of the fourth game of this series. High challenge, though, and this could be the immediate answer. Dirtho's in the right place at the right time. Dez follows through in the corner and has the boost to win this pace battle and then some. But Woozy stands tall and does it on both ends.
It's fallen so kindly to Preston, who runs up the other side of the field. Dirtho was looking for the receiver, didn't get it. Dalton demoed by Dirtho. Woozy over Luby. Dez is way out of this equation. It goes backwards instead of forwards. Dalton lines up for Woozy! Sunk!
Yep, that's absolutely drawn up to a T for Boise State. One quick challenge goes their way. Woozy is exactly where he needs to be. Slots at top corner, no chance for anybody, even if they were in the picture. And this is more like what we could have expected from Boise State, trying to peak offensively here. Put UT Dallas in the hole early on and don't let them see the light of day. A demo and a close double certainly give them a fighting chance, but with everybody stacked up in the corner, this is going to be a tough push to resuscitate.
The two teams have arguably gone in two very different directions. Boise State, I should say, have reset their mentals. It seems like they're looking a lot more confident, more like the game 1 and 2 Boise State that we have gotten accustomed to. UT Dallas, the mistakes seem to have doubled, unfortunately, and after that second goal, it's been all pedal to the metal, but unfortunately, it's aiming more for a car crash than a record lap time. It's really all over the place. Goal number 3 on the way. That's a good save from Dez, but they need to readjust their mentals themselves now, Galgan. Otherwise, this is going to become a bit of a blowout.
Again, you've got another situation with UT Dallas waiting on the ground, keeping their wheels very grounded to wait for what Boise State can bring on the first shot. They don't always have the pace to take it away on a clear after that touch. Woozy gets a demo. It's not going to amount to much. Dirtho removes Luby as well. So plenty of respawns and not a whole lot of boost to go around on that back line for UT Dallas, but they still find their way out. Luby trying to deke around this ball, goes for the demo instead, but Preston, the patience pays off.
Really important, and now on transition, Dirtho over the top of one. Luby, it's Preston again. They are cutting off every passing lane for UT Dallas. They're trying to switch it up, bless their hearts. You can see their adaptability, but they're running into multiple brick walls. Less than 90 seconds left now. Not impossible for UT Dallas, but they need to score, and they need to score soon.
Preston to the skies to try and put the dagger in this fourth game of the series. Dirtho jumps very early, so it's going to be Preston to recycle the own touch. Dez gets a clear downfield. No help immediately as Woozy blocks, takes that mid boost, but it doesn't matter much for Preston, who's already racing for that one challenge. Allows Woozy to T1 up, but a double commit and a pinch there from the UT Dallas defender sees it away, but not for much longer. It's immediately brought back in. Boise State are not letting UT Dallas see any opportunities to grab their first goal.
And the late day heroics might look fantastic for UT Dallas, but it's not giving them any time to breathe. Oh, what a dunk on the backboard for Preston. Dirtho, it was lined up and set up on a silver platter. Luby was a little too slow to react there, but that is the third. That is surely the game and tournament point in the making for Boise State.
There's a level of comfort that some teams can play with while holding a multi-goal lead going into the closing moments of any game, and it's a telling sign whether or not they're able to park the bus defensively and just hold on to whatever lead they have and finish the game off exactly with said lead, or gain the confidence to go for more and really drive that advantage down deeper. Do I really need to tell you which kind of squad Boise State is? Because they're putting it on full display. They do not care, forcing all of UT Dallas to chase this ball just to concede again.
It's stat padding, but UT Dallas now need to take this moment to recognize where they are going wrong. That synergy is starting to fracture quite significantly so. As I mentioned earlier, Boise State, the double commits have largely been erased from game number 3. They're a thing of the past. For UT Dallas, the double commits continue to mount up, and I understand that sometimes they're going for these pinch plays, Galgan, and it looks very pretty when it pays off, but I don't think you can afford to utilize that level of confidence, ego, and flair when you're going up against one of the best teams in the competition. Now you're 3-1 down in that series as well. You're on the precipice of being eliminated as second place team, which again, for UT Dallas, this is a great result either way. They've gotten their game win in as well. They've banked it, but they can do better. And their coach and themselves are surely going to be looking at each other saying, I think we can get another game out of this. And if we can get another game out of this, then maybe, just maybe, we can stretch ourselves to the fabled Game 7.
And the only worrying sign about that, I know we like to say, oh, UT Dallas, Game 7, they've got it on lock, they'll get there. This entire bracket of the second weekend of action has had one series that's gone to Game 6, and no series has gone to Game 7. Every other series that's been played here has been a 4-0 or a 4-1. If history repeats itself, we're in for a quick finish here for Boise State to take home the victory in the second weekend of play. But I mean, as much as I want to sit here and say it's over, you know, congratulations, Boise State, there's some last piece of hope that I'm clinging on to for UT Dallas to make this comeback, because much like any other team in this field, I've seen them at their best, or at least I'd like to think that I have. The problem is you've got to piece it together for minutes at a time, for games at a time, for a series at a time. And UT Dallas are struggling to keep pace with Boise State's best in this particular series, which is why they're losing out on so many of these very close plays, turning some 50-50s more into 60-40s. As I don't know if we have an invisible player there. I'm not exactly sure what I saw, but could have just been a glitch on my end. Anyway, Game 5.
Bit of a ghost touch, I think, there off the kickoff. For me, UT Dallas simply have to keep that clean sheet going for at least the first 2 minutes. They've got to force Boise State into a state of mind where they're thinking, we've got to score, and now they most certainly have to score. Luby will thank his lucky stars for this one, but it's a goal. It doesn't matter how it goes in.
I'll take it how they can get it. There have certainly been some scrappier opportunities for both teams, but a nice robbery off the sidewall. Play that proactive style. And UT Dallas jumps out as we disconnect from the lobby right there. We assure you the game will continue on without us until we can get back in, but it's a strong start for UT Dallas. Exactly what they need to get things going here in this series. Get your foot in the door, keep taking those baby steps towards Game 7, try to make a difference.
It's an even better start than I was hoping for them. It's one thing to keep a clean sheet. It's another thing to go and grab that go-ahead goal. It gives you a little bit of wiggle room to work with should you concede thereafter, because I think when it comes to Boise State, it's always a matter of when rather than if. I think this is one of the most difficult teams to keep out of your own goal mouth for 5 minutes on the trot, especially in the Rally Cry Collegiate Series. But as we rejoin the action, Galgan, we see that that's exactly the point that I was making, yes.
Exactly. All things in the universe work, you know, in tandem with each other, just making sure that all the stars are aligned so that whatever we say is just instantly wrong. I'm convinced of it. You know, at this point in time, anything could happen. I could say that, you know, Southern Miss Coca-Cola is going to come back to the grand finals, win it all. That's not going to happen because, you know, everything's wrong. But I feel like you could have inferred that anyway. I don't know where I'm going with this. I think I'm just trying to be wrong for the sake of being wrong. You know what? Let's be right about something. UT Dallas, still in this series, but something has to change about how much they get in the face of Boise State. I mean, can anybody watching say that they do a better job of blocking Durtho on a shot like that? Because I don't think anybody can.
He's been going for that cross-post goal so many times since he was able to score a very similar sort of goal in game number 1, you might remember. And listen, in multiple choice quizzes, if you pick option C enough times, eventually you are going to be correct. And Boise State are looking mighty fine and correct. The ship is stable, the engines are purring, and they continue to motor ahead into this ocean of success and tranquility and beautiful Rocket League. A little too intricate a passing operation there, but 3 minutes to go. They have that 1-goal advantage to play with.
Still good to see. They maintain that level of confidence. Meanwhile, UT Dallas, Dez tries to slow roll. This one goes off the side rather than the corner. And it's too easy for Durtho. Preston puts it right into his hands.
He's only got 1 goal this entire series. Give the man a goal, Durtho. Give the man a goal. Goodness me, you've already got 7. Anyway, that's daylight. Forget the 1-goal advantage. That is important to get that 3rd one on the board. UT Dallas, they need a response. They need it mighty quick. But it really does feel like Boise State have got them exactly where they want them. They are able to set up very comfortably on defense. Their rotation is so succinct, and they've got that lethality down the other side of the pitch on transition that makes UT Dallas sweat.
It's still just halfway through. UT Dallas clinging on to any bit of hope that they have left to extend this grand final. Dez has to go all the way back, picked up the 100, but it's not going to mean anything with Durtho screaming towards the ball, has tried to take this entire series into his control. What a passing play. It's teed up for Dalton, however, and there's your goal to get back in it.
I am so sad that this initial shot from Dez was not on target, but Preston's going to have a sore forehead in the morning, isn't he? That is wrong place, wrong time if you're a Boise State fan, if you're Preston, who's going to be feeling even more bad than when he didn't get that goal opportunity with Dez. Anyway, point being, hugely important for Dallas, but they can't concede straight off kickoff. They might still do. Backboard, Dez leaves it to Luby, but still manages to mess it up somehow. Lurks in the air. Luby unchallenged, however. Boise State let them off the hook. Oh, they really do. What?
Yeah, letting him off the hook is one thing. Letting him walk down Broadway is another. But Preston with a musty off the side. And both these teams, just again, we're getting deep into a best of 7, deep into the grand finals. They're both hopefully hitting their full strides, getting as confident as ever. And this is where you're going to see the real flashy stuff start to emerge. But Boise State look a bit too comfortable to allow UT Dallas to try and push in and score this equalizer. There's still not a whole lot of time remaining for them to get it done, and it's the first of 3 match point opportunities, so feels like all the pressure, if ever there was any, is on UT Dallas right now. Another center pass taken away with 60 to play.
1 goal, any goal is the order of the day. That's what's on the menu, but you can't concede one, not now. Durtho with the impossible angle. Luby pokes away. There are people lining up en masse to get a shot on target. None of them really capitalized. The setup for Dez, he runs downfield. Gaugen, it's possible, but is it probable? That is the question.
40 to go. Preston takes away from the corner and beats the first, but here's Dez to recycle. No boost, has to pick up that back corner that Boise State graciously allowed him to grab, but they're too concerned with bringing it back in transition. Luby doesn't find the touch. That's one you feel is necessary. Forced into 2 players from Boise State. Preston and Woozy both chasing each other for the ball. It feels like that would be the downfall, but it's not. UT Dallas can't formulate a push out of their own zone. Luby gets demoed. Dez gets the ball stripped away. One last pass down the field. Dez takes to the sky. It's going to the back wall. 2 commits. Somebody punch it home. Luby, it's on target, but the bar is not safe. A save away for Boise State. One last jump. One last chance for Dez to turn and send this over to Luby, but he's not playing center. Durtho goes off his own back wall, keeps it alive out of the corner. Do Boise State try to add insult to injury on their way to winning the grand final? Preston keeps it alive because why not? Woozy one last touch over to Durtho, and these players are not going quietly no matter who might win. A triple commit on the challenge. Dez keeps the ball alive in the corner. Luby one more center, and it's too far wide. Boise State, they come out with a 5-game victory in the grand finals.
Yeah, Boise said, give me the game 5. Oh, sorry, I should say lock in the game 5, but not for them. It's Boise State with the 4-1, which does at least continue the UT Dallas formula of going to game 5 and then the series ends. But unfortunately, they really did meet their match on this occasion. Not to say that they didn't have a good go of it. And I think that with the season progressing, potentially once we get to that playoff I imagine that both of these two teams will definitely be there, especially since Boise State's locked in the full 100 points, of course. I think if there is a rematch later on down the line, this is a lot closer as a competition than what we see here today. Color me impressed, UT Dallas. Color me scared, Boise State.
I echo your sentiments entirely. I think there's a lot for UT Dallas to be proud of for obviously just at a baseline making it to the second place finish, but continuing to impress us and continuing to get stronger as they go. Because it's not like we want to frame this as UT Dallas being this, young, plucky newcomer who has a lot to prove and everybody to show that they can do. Everybody knows that this team can do it. They consistently scrim close against everybody, play close against everybody. You always give them a fighting chance no matter who their opponents are. But I maintain that one of the prime issues for a series like that is that Boise State looks too comfortable. In some of the moments where big mistakes get made and UT Dallas maybe capitalizes on that, you flip it completely on its head. And when Boise State have the ball in their control, far too often you saw UT Dallas with their wheels grounded. They're at the goal line, they're at the back wall waiting for that first shot to come through. And then what do we do after that? Oops, Durtho just peaked on all of us and we've conceded immediately. So chances like that, as soon as you mitigate something, UT Dallas make this a longer series, but that's a question for the future once they review what happened here.
Yeah, I think UT Dallas, they tried to go directly toe-to-toe with Boise State, and they lost the foot fight, quite frankly. I would have liked to have seen... I don't know. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more play along the ground. I would have liked to have seen perhaps more in the way of demos, but it's so difficult to ask for more demos when you can see that Boise State is clearly a team that is accustomed to targets on their backs. They are very well adept of getting out the way, readjusting, making something out of nothing. They play Rocket League real good, Galgan. And sometimes when you're in a position like UT Dallas, you just have to accept that if you don't take all of your chances, then you're not going to get the series in your favor.
Yeah, it just, as much as we don't want to sit here and say that sometimes it comes down to that skill diff, and you can't necessarily explain every goal that you see here as that skill diff. Maybe that one from Luby you could massively call skill diff, and I'd agree with you because that sort of performance is something that you cannot expect from an everyday shot. But time and time again, the placement was pristine from Boise State, especially on shots like this from Woozy. Even though no defenders are in the picture, it goes top corner exactly where it needs to be with pace. That's the kind of difference that sometimes goes unnoticed, but makes a world of difference when it comes to how this series is won and lost.
This is higher levels of a CRL sort of series. I'd even wager as saying a lower end RLCS series where if you make that one mistake, you are conceding, Galgan. There's no argument. You are actually going to concede if you make that one mistake. And UT Dallas made too many mistakes. There was a kickoff goal. They had to come from behind multiple times after conceding early. And when you set up that hill to climb before you even cross the field, against a team of Boise State's quality, this does feel like the scoreline, like the result that was always going to happen. But I want to re-emphasize, on another day, with more time to gel, with less mistakes, UT Dallas doesn't just take this to Game 7. They put themselves in a great position to win, to make it a coin flip between these two teams. They should be so proud of themselves, and I'm excited to see what the rest of their growth looks like in the Rally Cry Collegiate Series. And speaking of growth, well, Southern Miss Coca-Cola's growth in terms of points has been confirmed as well. They fought Pescados, who don't win a single game on the Sunday yet again. But again, they go home with 25 points. They've accrued enough, I would imagine, to see themselves safely into the playoff bracket.
So there is the wrap-up of the bracket for this particular weekend. Again, a lot of sweeps, couple of 4-1s, 1 4-2, nothing else that we saw that extended all the way to Game 7. So UT Dallas, not quite living up to that part of their history, but maybe next weekend or the one thereafter, as they've got plenty of time to adjust in the future heading into playoffs. This is what we're looking at least as far as the top 10 teams are concerned. Boise State jumps up there with the complete win from 0 to 100. Oklahoma Christian, of course, still occupies second with 100 points, and Southern Miss Coca-Cola slots in third due to the fact that they've got a second and a third place finish respectively. UT Dallas lone fourth place there with 70 points before a whole hodgepodge of teams and a couple down underneath in 11th through 16th that are still at the current moment occupying those playoff spots. But again, those top 16 teams make it. It for some of these teams becomes less about just making it to the playoffs and more about securing yourself a better seed going in, giving yourself potentially easier opponents to start off the tournament and warm yourselves up for the tests to come. But that is an issue for another time, Relic. We've still got 2 more weekends of this closed qualifier and the playoffs to follow after that. I'm sure the action will only ramp up from here.
Indeed it will. Will we have any more new names? Will we have returning names looking to do just that to further secure their seeding for the playoffs? Well, there's only one place to find out. It's right here on Rally Cry channel number 2 on twitch.tv. And how about... Oh, whoa. Sorry, I have news from production. Oh, okay. No worries. I thought there was a tech issue. Never mind me. What I should say is that should there be no tech issues forthcoming for you, be sure to join us right here, same time next Saturday. That's midday at Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Other time zones do apply. And it's basically the same thing we've been doing the last couple of weeks. It's going to be another bracket full of fun. And Galgan, I'm sure that we're all going to be enjoying it yet again. But what would you like to see from next week? What would you be hoping to witness? Would it be a new team rising to the top, or would it be a more established name maybe going all the way instead?
You know, I think we may have been a little robbed. You know, UT Dallas, credit where credit is due, made it to the grand finals. They had to do so by removing Oakland from the field. I'd like to see them make a deep run and see what they can do in a semis or grand finals appearance. Much the same with any other school looking to grab themselves some more points on the leaderboard. But that is a question for next weekend. As Relic said, same time, same place, Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. We will see you there for weekend number 3 of the closed qualifiers here for the Rally Cry Collegiate Series for Rocket League, presented by Army National Guard. For Relic and everyone else behind the scenes, pushing all the buttons, making us look pretty, I've been Galgan. You've been wonderful. Have a great rest of your day.
People want to define Gen Z, but that's our job.
I wait tables, but last week I built a field hospital.
I put out a forest fire.
I stopped 1,000 attackers.
And a natural disaster.
I've saved lives.
And led a team on patrol.
I serve.
Well, I go to school full-time.
While I work full-time.
The greater the challenge, the stronger we become.
Have a good time, man. Try away.